we're going to talk about something that seems totally harmless, but out on the high seas, it could be catastrophic. Okay, picture this. You're on this huge ship, literally hundreds of miles from anywhere. Help, days away. And then the alarms go off. Smoke starts pouring into the hallways. In a place like this, so isolated, so unforgiving, a tiny incident can become a total disaster. And there is nowhere, absolutely nowhere to run.
So what do you think is causing all this chaos? Your mind probably jumps to something big, right? Like a massive engine failure or maybe some cargo going haywire. But what if the thing causing this life or death situation was something way more common? Something someone on the crew could have in their pocket at this very moment?
Yup, an e-cigarette. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? This tiny, everyday gadget with the power to start a full-blown catastrophe. So how on earth did this modern habit turn into one of the biggest hidden dangers at sea? Let's get into it. Look, it's no secret that vapes are super popular with seafarers. A lot of people see them as this cleaner, easier, maybe even cooler option than regular cigarettes. Especially for the younger crew, it's just part of the lifestyle. But here's the thing. That idea that they're safe, it's seriously, dangerously wrong. And this quote right here, it just nails the problem. Something that seems like no big deal on land, well, it becomes a whole different beast when you're on a ship. We're talking about a confined space, high stakes, the risks just multiply. And it's not just about your health either. We're talking about dangers to the ship itself and even a crew member's freedom.
Okay, first things first, let's talk health. That whole idea that vaping is safe? Yeah, science is pretty much tearing that apart. The danger is absolutely real, and it starts with a person actually using the vape.
And just look at this. It doesn't get much clearer. On one side, you've got a healthy lung. And on the other, a lung just wrecked by COPD, which is this awful disease that basically makes it hard to breathe. And get this. Top-tier research from Johns Hopkins has found a direct link between exclusively using vapes and a higher risk of getting it. Oh, and it gets worse. We're talking about studies showing vaping can mess with your blood vessels, jack up your heart rate and blood pressure, even lower the oxygen in your blood. Now think about being on a ship where you have to be physically fit. That's a huge problem. Plus, people often vape inside, discreetly, so that secondhand vapor, it just fills up those tiny sealed cabins, and suddenly the whole crew is breathing in nicotine, fine particles, and even heavy metals. So yeah, the health risks alone are pretty bad. But believe it or not, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This is where the danger goes from being a personal problem to a threat against the entire ship. I mean, this quote says everything you need to know. For anyone who works at sea, fire is the absolute worst-case scenario. It spreads like, well, wildfire. There's almost nowhere to go, and you can't exactly call the fire department. And an e-cigarette? It's basically a pocket-sized fire hazard. The real problem here is what's powering the thing. Vapes run on lithium-ion batteries, just like your phone. But here's the scary part. If those batteries get damaged or overcharged or are just plain faulty, they can go into what's called thermal runaway. It's this insane chain reaction where they just violently explode and catch fire. And this isn't some what-if scenario. This is real. In just 1 year, between 2015 and 2016, the U.S. Navy had 15 different incidents of these batteries malfunctioning on their ships and even submarines. Out at sea, one little exploding battery could literally be the spark that sinks the whole vessel. So, we've covered bad health and catastrophic fires, but there's a third threat, one that most people totally overlook: the law. Ships travel all over the world, and they have to follow a whole mess of international rules. And when it comes to vaping, the punishments can be, and I mean this, shockingly severe. Just take a look at this. It really gives you an idea of the global crackdown happening right now. Something that's totally legal in one country could get you thrown in jail in the next. A crew member could just have a vape in their bag, have no idea they're breaking the law, and suddenly they're committing a major crime. And it's not just them, the whole ship is at risk of being held up, facing huge fines. Want some examples? Okay, in Thailand, just having a vape can get you up to 10 years in prison. 10 years. Over in Singapore, it's even more intense. If you get caught with a black market vape that's been laced with drugs, which is a huge and growing problem, by the way, the punishment can include caning. Yes, caning, and up to 20 years behind bars. Then there's Australia. A violation there can lead to fines in the millions of dollars. The financial hit for both the person and their company is just astronomical. And the list just keeps going. India, Vietnam, Mauritius, country after country is dropping the hammer with strict bans and massive penalties. For a shipping company, think about it. One vape that someone forgot to declare gets found by customs. That could mean the whole ship gets detained, which costs a fortune, wrecks relationships with clients, and trashes your reputation.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got serious health problems, a massive fire risk, and a legal nightmare. When you lay it all out like that, the conclusion is pretty hard to argue with.
But here's the question I bet you're asking. Wait a minute. What about regular cigarettes? We know they're bad, but they're still allowed in certain places. So why go after vapes? And that's a fair question. The answer comes down to the type of risk.
It really breaks down like this. With cigarettes, the risks are bad, but they're known. We've had decades to figure out how to manage them, with things like special smoking areas. The risk is documented and contained. But vapes, they bring a whole bunch of new, unpredictable dangers to the table. We're talking mystery chemicals, that secondhand vapor in closed-off rooms, and the big one, that unique danger of an exploding battery. You just can't manage that risk the same way. So what's the solution? Well, the argument is pretty clear. Step 1, a total comprehensive ban on all vapes on board, no exceptions. Step 2, you have to educate the crew on every single risk we've talked about, the health, the fire, the legal trouble. Step 3, you have to actually enforce the rules seriously. And finally, step 4, you gotta provide real help for people who want to quit, like nicotine patches or gum.
And that's really the bottom line here. When you stack up all these dangers together, the answer is obvious. In a job where safety margins are already paper thin and help is literally an ocean away, a full ban isn't just advisable, it's absolutely essential.
So it all comes down to this one last thought. You've got this device, it's got growing health concerns, it's been proven to explode, and it could get you locked up in a foreign country. So the real question is, in one of the most dangerous workplaces on the planet, where one tiny mistake can be fatal, is this really a risk worth taking?